Have you ever cried alone in the dark, wondering if anyone sees your pain? Have you ever prayed through tears, not knowing if your voice reached the heavens? Listen closely, because this moment might just change everything for you. No matter how heavy your heart feels, how long you've been waiting, or how deep your pain runs, this truth remains unshaken. God is closer than you think. The one who created you has not abandoned you. And today you'll be reminded that hope is not lost because your Lord is still writing your story. Number 1. God hears every whisper, even the one you don't say aloud. When life becomes overwhelming and the heart feels too heavy to carry, one of the most painful feelings is the belief that no one sees you or hears your silent cry. You may find yourself in the dead of night, lying awake with tears on your pillow and a storm raging within you. You might wonder, does anyone see what I'm going through? Does anyone even care? But the most comforting truth is this: God sees, God hears, and God never turns away. In Surah Kaf, verse 16, God says, "Tain, we are closer to him than his jugular vein." That is not a metaphor, it's a divine truth. Your Creator is not distant, he is not far away in the sky, detached from your reality. No, he is nearer to you than your own lifeline. When you whisper in your heart, he hears. When you tremble but cannot speak, he knows. The world may misunderstand you, but God knows what even you don't have the words to say. In Surah Al-Mujadila, verse 1, God reveals, God has certainly heard the speech of the one who argues with you concerning her husband and directs her complaint to God. And God hears your dialogue. Indeed, God is hearing and seeing. This verse was revealed because of a woman who came to the Prophet with a personal struggle. Her voice may have been faint, but it reached the Lord of the worlds. If God hears the voice of a woman arguing in distress, why wouldn't he hear your heartbreak, your whisper, your silent prayer? You may feel too broken to even raise your hands in prayer. You may be too ashamed, too weary, or simply too confused to know what to ask for. That's okay. The beauty of God's closeness is that you don't need eloquence. You don't need fancy words. You only need to turn your heart towards him. In Surah Taha, verse 7, God says, "Tains, and if you speak aloud, then indeed he knows the secret and what is even more hidden." Think about that. God knows the secret and even more than the secret. The things you hide from everyone else, the feelings you're too afraid to confront, the wounds you bury deep inside, he already knows them. He knows when you're struggling to get out of bed. He knows when you're putting on a smile just to get through the day. He knows when your heart aches and you feel like you're at the edge. And he doesn't just know, he cares. He is Al-Hanim, the most merciful, and Al-Sami, the all-hearing. When you cry in sujood, prostration, when you speak into the silence, when you utter words through choked breath, your voice is carried straight to the one who can change everything. So never believe the lie that your prayers are unheard. Don't let the silence around you fool you into thinking that heaven is silent too. God is listening. He is not ignoring you. He is closer than your jugular vein, attentive to every word, every tear, every breath. You don't have to scream to be heard by God. You don't have to be perfect to be loved by him. You only have to turn to him, even with the smallest whisper of hope, and he will be there listening, responding, guiding. Let that truth wrap around your heart like a warm blanket in winter. You are heard, you are seen, and you are never ever alone. Number 2, your struggles are not wasted. They have purpose. When hardship hits us wave after wave, it's easy to feel like we're drowning in meaninglessness. We ask ourselves, why me? What did I do wrong? What's the point of this? But in Islam, no suffering is ever wasted. No tear falls without being recorded. Every pain has a purpose, even when we can't yet see it. In Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 2086, God declares Kainziyat. God does not burden a soul beyond that it can bear. This verse is not just a consolation, it's a promise. Whatever you are facing right now, as difficult as it may feel, it is within your capacity. It may push you, it may bend you, but it will not break you, unless you let go of your faith. God in his infinite wisdom knows your inner strength better than you do. If he allowed this test in your life, it's because he knows you are capable of facing it and growing through it. What we call a problem, God often calls preparation. Trials are not just there to test us, they are there to elevate us. Just like gold is purified in fire, the soul is polished through adversity. You are not being punished, you are being prepared for something greater, for something deeper, for something deeper, for something deeper, for a version of you that only struggle can bring forth. In Surah Al-Anshah, verse 5-6, God says, Tains, for indeed with hardship will be ease. Indeed with hardship will be ease. Notice how the ease is mentioned twice as if to hammer home the point. Hardship is never permanent. It carries within it the seeds of relief. Your pain today could be the reason for your strength tomorrow. The very trial you're in could be your doorway to a level of faith and purpose you've never known before. It's easy to have hope when life is good, but true belief, real surrender, is built in the dark, in the waiting, in the storms. That's where you discover who you really are. That's where you meet the version of yourself that trusts God, even when you don't understand His plan. Remember, even the prophets, those most beloved to God, were tested. Prophet Ayub, Job, lost his wealth, health, and children, but he never lost his hope. Prophet Yusuf, Joseph, was betrayed by his own brothers, thrown in a well, sold as a slave, and imprisoned, but all of it led him to greatness. In Prophet Muhammad, Dawud faced loss, slander, and rejection, but still rose as a mercy to the world. You are walking a path that many of God's beloved have walked before. And if your struggle feels unbearable right now, know this: it's only part of the story. The chapter may be painful, but the ending is not written yet. And with God as the author of your life, there is no such thing as a wasted trial. So don't curse your pain. Don't give up under pressure. Stand firm, breathe deep, and remind yourself, this trial has meaning. I have strength, and God is guiding me through it. For a reason I will one day understand. Number 3, the delay is not denial. God's timing is perfect. There's a specific kind of pain in waiting. Waiting for healing. Waiting for a prayer to be answered. Waiting for something to change. You may have prayed night after night, poured your soul into sujud, yet life still looks the same. And that can break your spirit if you forget who you're waiting on. But here's what you must understand. God's delay is not God's denial. What feels like a delay to you may be divine protection or preparation in disguise. In Surah Al-Araf, verse 56, God says, "Tains, indeed the mercy of God is near to the doers of good." That means while you're doing good, while you're staying patient and holding on, His mercy is not far. It's near, even if you don't see it yet. He is closer to delivering what you need than you think. But here's the truth. God works in the unseen, and we only see a tiny part of the picture. His plan is always perfect, even when it's not immediate. Think about Prophet Yusuf, Joseph. He had dreams of greatness as a child, but what followed was betrayal, slavery, and prison. If he had judged his life based on those years alone, it would have seemed like his destiny was destroyed. But God had a bigger plan. The delay was building his character, increasing his patience, in aligning the events that would eventually make him a ruler in Egypt. In Surah Yusuf, verse 90, when Yusuf finally reveals his identity to his brothers, he says, "Tains, indeed whoever fears God and is patient, then indeed God does not allow to be lost the reward of those who do good." There it is. Your patience is not ignored. Your waiting is not wasted. If you are holding on to God even in the darkness, He is preparing your light. If the door hasn't opened yet, perhaps He's still arranging the room behind it. What's meant for you will not miss you, and what misses you was never meant to be yours. The reality is what you ask for may not be ready yet, or maybe you're not ready yet. Just like a fruit must ripen before it can be picked, your time will come when everything is in its perfect place. In Surah Al-Araf, verse 21-16, God says, "Tains, but perhaps you hate a thing, and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing, and it is bad for you. And God knows while you know not." This verse is gold for the heart that's tired of waiting. You may be wishing for something that isn't good for you right now, or ever. And you may be enduring something difficult that's actually growing you in ways nothing else could. Trusting in God means trusting in His wisdom, not just His power. So instead of asking why the delay, ask yourself, what is God teaching me in this delay? Maybe He's building your resilience. Maybe He's drawing you closer to Him. Maybe He's teaching you to love the giver more than the gift. Hold on to hope. Keep making dua. Keep doing good. Because the door might not be closed, it might just be on a divine timer.
Number 4, God knows what's in your heart, even when you struggle to express it. Have you ever felt so overwhelmed that you didn't even know what to say to God? You sat in silence, wanting to pray, but the words just wouldn't come. Your heart was full of emotion, pain, confusion, longing, but your tongue felt frozen. That doesn't mean you're weak in faith. It means you're human. And here's the beautiful truth. Even when you cannot speak, God still hears you. He understands your silence. He knows your intention. He sees into the deepest part of your soul. In Surah Taha, verse 7, God says, "And if you speak aloud, then indeed He knows the secret and what is even more hidden." Reflect on this. God knows the secret, that which is hidden from the world. But he also knows what is even more hidden, things that you yourself may not fully understand. The feelings you haven't processed, the desires buried deep, the pain you can't explain. He knows it all. He knows you better than you know yourself. This should fill your heart with peace. You don't need the perfect dua. You don't need poetic words or eloquent phrases. You just need sincerity. Even if all you can say is help me, or if all you can do is cry, God hears it. He accepts it. In Surah Baqarah, verse 18:6, God says, "And when my servants ask you concerning me, indeed I am near. I respond to the call of the supplicant when he calls upon me." He didn't say you need to be perfect. He didn't say you need a long dua. He simply said, call upon me. That means a sigh, a tear, even a broken whisper counts. His nearness is not dependent on your strength. It's always there. When Prophet Zechariah asked for a child in old age, he did so softly, as mentioned in Surah Maryam, verse 3. When he called to his Lord a private supplication, that quiet, hidden prayer was enough. God responded to it with a miracle. Your Lord is not waiting for noise. He is waiting for sincerity. So if you're carrying silent burdens, unspoken griefs, unvoiced hopes, don't worry. God knows. Pour your heart to him in any way you can. Speak or stay silent. Whisper or cry. The one who created your heart understands its language. There are days when you won't know what to say. There are days when pain will shut your lips, but God is still near. He never needs subtitles. He never misinterprets your silence. He sees the tear before it falls. He hears the dua before it's spoken. So don't think your silence means distance. With God, even your silence is a form of worship when your heart is reaching for him. Number 5, hope is a form of worship. Never let go of it. When life breaks your heart and nothing seems to change, hope can feel like a struggle. You begin to wonder, is there a point in holding on anymore? But in those very moments, remember this, holding on to hope is an act of worship. When you refuse to give up on God's mercy, even when everything hurts, you are displaying one of the highest forms of faith. In Surah Az-Zumar, verse 53, God says, "Say, O my servants, who have transgressed against themselves by sinning, do not despair of the mercy of God. Indeed, God forgives all sins. Indeed, it is he who is the forgiving, the merciful." This verse is a lifeline to every broken heart, to every sinner, to every tired soul. God isn't telling the perfect to keep hoping. He's calling out to the flawed, to those who've messed up, drifted away, fallen down. And what does he say? Do not despair. His mercy is far greater than your mistakes, your weaknesses, and your past. You see, Shaitan doesn't just tempt you to sin. He tempts you to give up after the sin. He whispers, it's too late for you now. But God says the opposite. He says, come back to me. My mercy is still open. When you hold on to hope in his forgiveness, you are defying Shaitan and choosing to trust your Creator over your feeling. Hope is what keeps the heart alive in the darkest of days. It's what allows you to rise again after you fall. Without it, life becomes cold, heavy, and lifeless. But with hope, even the greatest storm becomes a path to light. Look at the story of Prophet Yunus Jonah. When he left his people and was swallowed by the whale, he could have given up. He could have thought it was over. But instead, from the belly of darkness, he called out to God with hope and humility. In Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 87, God tells us what Yunus said, "There is no deity except you. Exalted are you. Indeed, I have been of the wrongdoers." That sincere, hopeful plea was enough. God forgave him, rescued him, and elevated his story forever. This is what hope does. It unlocks mercy. It invites change. It brings you closer to God when everything else seems lost. And even when the pain seems too much, remember, hope isn't pretending everything is okay. Hope is saying, even if everything is not okay right now, God is still with me. And that is enough. In Surah Al-Talaq, verse 2-3, God promises, and whoever fears God, he will make for him a way out, and will provide for him from where he does not expect. That means if you just keep believing, even when it's hard, even when your heart is barely hanging on, God will make a way for you, from places you could never imagine. So don't give up. Don't silence your prayers. Don't let despair take over your soul. Keep praying, even when your voice shakes. Keep walking, even if your feet are tired. Because every moment you choose hope, you are choosing God over hopelessness. And know this, God never lets hope go unrewarded. Number 6, Your prayer has already been heard. Trust the unseen. You've been making dua again and again, the same prayer, the same tearful plea, and still, nothing seems to change. You might begin to think, has God even heard me? But the truth is, your dua was heard the moment it left your heart. In Surah Ghafir, verse 60, God says, call upon me, I will respond to you. This isn't a vague hope, it's a divine promise. When you call on God sincerely, from a place of belief and trust, He has already responded. The answer may not come in the way you expect or at the time you want, but the response has begun. Sometimes it comes as protection, sometimes as growth, sometimes it comes later when you are ready for it, but it always comes. Prophet Zechariah made dua for a child even in old age. By all worldly standards, it seemed impossible, but he didn't stop. In Surah Maryam verse 4 he says, my bones have become weak and my head has filled with white, but never have I been disappointed in my prayer to you, my Lord. He never lost hope in his dua, and God rewarded him with Yahya John, a son of purity and greatness. Your prayers may feel unheard, but they're not. They're working silently. They're changing your destiny. They're strengthening your faith. Every sincere prayer you make is being stored, and none of them are lost. The Prophet Muhammad Delabre said, as supported by Quranic wisdom, that dua brings what you ask for, or diverts a harm, or is saved for you in the hereafter. Either way you win. In Surah Al-Baqarah verse 18:6, God says, and when my servants ask you about me, indeed I am near. I respond to the call of the supplicant when he calls upon me. He didn't say sometimes. He said I respond. Not an angel, not a middleman. God himself responds to you. You matter to him. Your words matter. Your tears are not wasted. Just because you don't see movement on the outside doesn't mean nothing is happening in the unseen. God's plan is unfolding in ways you cannot comprehend. Sometimes he delays the dua to give you something better. Sometimes the waiting is his way of keeping you close. And sometimes the delay is where you find your real connection with God. Because in those nights of crying and asking, your heart becomes softer, your soul becomes purified, and your trust in him deep. So continue making dua, persistently, patiently, confidently. Know that your prayer is not a shot in the dark. It's a seed planted in divine soil. You may not see the plant today, but one day it will bloom. And on that day you'll realize God heard you all along. He was never ignoring you. He was preparing something beautiful for your soul.